workshop. This meeting is now called to order. It is 5:31. Please rise and say the pledge of allegiance for me. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call of attendance.
All right, welcome everyone. Ed Robinson is absent excused. Jenny Gonzalez,
Here.
Mike Powers,
Here.
Audrey Kostick,
Here.
Keith Castenson is absent excused.
Okay.
Also present we have our wonderful curriculum director, Miss Marty. All right. And I can tell you that the meeting was posted in all the usual spots. Schoolhouse doors, eVergent, Village Hall, online, media were notified.
Okay, thank you very much. So, we are going to our topics tonight, and the first one up is our state report card discussion.
Yes, so unfortunately, we can't give you the current score that we received this year because we're still in the embargoed period until the 11th. So you will see a press release and the official number, which we're interested in sharing in the very near future here. So we want to just talk a little bit tonight about kind of what goes into the report card to understand all the different categories, because you may have people asking about it, and then we will obviously look at how things landed for us. We're going to look at some things relative to surrounding districts, our longitudinal over the past 9 years you'll see, and then just some discussion about it to make you aware of how everything kind of gets put together for the state report card. So, you know, Dana's obviously available here too, because she can talk about some of the data and collection and share maybe a few tools if you're really interested in the school report card. It is something that people look at with value. So there's our mission statement, freshly polished. We've got a video here that sort of explains a little bit about the DPI's score.
Every year since 2011-12, Wisconsin produces report cards for schools and districts. Similar to the purpose of student report cards, these report cards help districts understand performance to improve opportunities for kids. It also helps families, educators, and communities understand how their schools are doing. Each report card looks at multiple years of data across 4 key areas, like achievement, growth, progress of students in need, or students with lowest academic performance, attendance, and graduation rates. Based on these data, schools are given 1 of 5 overall ratings, from fails to meet expectations to significantly exceeds expectations. But things have changed over time. Since report cards began in 2011, Wisconsin has improved how we measure school performance. Schools with more low-income students are measured differently. Student growth matters more. Academic progress is tracked uniquely, and absenteeism has a bigger impact. Using the old report card performance benchmarks is like using a GPS with 10-year-old information. The roads have changed, and if we don't update the map, we might end up on the wrong path to our destination. That's why, this summer, over 24 education leaders from across Wisconsin are coming together to update the thresholds for each rating category. They will review available data and recommend updates to the system. With guidance from national experts, this standard-setting process ensures school ratings reflect today's expectations, not yesterday's. It's all about making sure Wisconsin's report cards are consistent, clear, fair, and based on how schools are truly performing today. Learn more at dpi.wi.
There are some great resources on the DPI website that kind of talk you through, you know, how all of this works. There are people who can really, if you want to spend some significant time kind of geeking out on the process, you certainly can. There are breakout sessions at the convention that's in January that can look at items from this too, and it's important to understand as much as you'd like to about it. At the end of the day, we have a number. The number means something to people. when they buy homes, when they shop, they say, hey, how are the schools? This is one of those measurements that's nice to be able to have in your pocket to say, see this, we hold up to the standard as it's measured in Wisconsin. So,
Did you have a question?
Well, with all of the controversy with changing of the state report card numbers with under Jill Underly,
Yeah. So that's, I think what that addresses that. That video shows you what it is, but you are right, there is some pushback on that. What we do is we look at our numbers, but then we kind of also look at how we're performing against our area schools, just as another way to check that. So in other words, let's say everybody's number went up, we can kind of see that, if that makes sense. So what happened is they were changing, they changed some of the way that they calculate. So a school like ours would get more emphasis would be put on achievement, which, because we don't have a lot of students in the high need category. If they are a school like that, they're seeing more on growth than achievement. So for us, not much has changed, if that makes sense.
okay, that's good, that's good to know.
Yeah.
If we compare ourselves to like Milwaukee Public Schools.
Yeah,
RUSD.
yeah.
Or, yeah,
right, and you'll notice, I mean, there's a big difference in the scores from certain settings, to ours. Even on our low side, it's on the higher end of a lot of school districts. I mean, the bar is high for area schools like ours, so comparing to those alikes is really important with our model. So one of the things that we use to kind of conjure up these scores is the forward exam data as a K through 8. That's the exam that's given in grades 3 through 8 in ELA and math, and then 4 and 8 do science and social studies, and then 10th grade also does social studies as well. So they use this forward exam data plus demographic data, attendance data, and they formulate the report card. Now the good news is our attendance is a complete non-issue. When you look at our state report card, we don't have a ton of truancy. In fact, this year our numbers are way down in terms of kids that are even showing up tardy to school. I mean, we still have kids, but the numbers are not, Deb Klein, our school counselor, handles the lion's share of all that process, and she said it was a quarter of what it was last year. Now, some of it is just because we're working with families to help them understand, the resources they have. We do provide open enrollment families with a common transport drop-off at the fireworks store, which we don't have to do that. We choose to do that because it's the right thing to do. So some of those pieces I think help. And then people they get in here and they start to meet people and go, hey, can you get my kid there? And there's that peer pressure to help. And it works. So we're really happy with where we're heading with attendance. It's still, struggle for some. We have exited students from the open enrollment program if they don't meet our criteria for attendance. That is a contributing factor for exit. We did exit several families last year because of that. We're not proud of that, but it's a standard. And so I think when people hear, hey, there's actually some teeth to the rules. We've also had some local people who occasionally have to work through truancy court because they can't get their kids to school on time or enough. So it does happen here at Heavenly High, but I think we do have a lot of really good success there. So when that's normally, that could be a ding for some areas. It's a non-issue for us. So the priority areas we're looking at are achievement, growth, target group outcomes, and on track to graduate. Where you're seeing this is what Dana was talking about before. Ours tends to be a little heavier weight on achievement. Growth is really saying, okay, if you have a kid that is in 3rd grade level, do they make a year's progress to 4th grade level in that year? Now, an interesting thing is when you have kids who come to you, maybe they're in 3rd grade, but they're at the 1st grade level. They have to make up more time than just that 1 year. Otherwise, your gap is just going to stay perpetuated. If you only make up 1 year's time every year, people think, oh, great, 1 year, 1 year. There's a good correlation. We want to close the gap by saying, well, we're actually going to give your kid 1.2 years of growth because we have interventions or we have supports that can help close that gap. So the target group outcomes is really that targeted group. Like every set of data, you have your bottom quartile. Now, our bottom quartile tends to be higher than other bottom quartiles. Because we're splitting hairs and we're doing well with kids. So our lowest kids, in some other school districts around us, may be a middle of the pack kid. And again, we've got good families and good kids, so we're happy with that. But we still have to keep those kids in the bottom quartile growing. So that's really the trick. And then on track to graduate, this is basically an indicator that says, at this pace of learning, with all the things these kids have in place, will they be able to graduate, with their peers? And the answer is resoundingly yes in that category here, which is good.
What's the timeline from the time they take the forward
So
exams until we get these?
Well, so now they changed it and they're doing it much faster. We used to get, they take it in March, April. We used to get it in summer. Now this year we got them before the end of the school year. So, take it in March but the report card comes out at this time of year.
Early May, we
So
get,
the
early to
forward-
mid-May, we get
yeah,
the results back.
Yep.
But then the tabulation of this doesn't occur until,
So you know your raw data, but you kind of almost don't know what it means, if that makes sense.
Because
That's
it's
how
compared
that's-
to all other
Yes,
schools.
yes.
Okay.
Yep.
so this was our 23-24 data. We are awaiting the 24-25. We have it, I just can't share it right now. There's your spoiler alert to pay attention to your communications from school next week. But we exceeded expectations last year and we've had a good run. This is the breakdown of what the cuts are, those scores, where you need to be. You need to beat an 83 to get to significantly exceed expectations, which is the top category, 5 stars, if you will. So we're pretty hopeful that we'll be able to continue on the trajectory above that 83 mark this year. This is the longitudinal data, so this is, sorry for the blur, but it's a snap. This is 9 years of data. You'll notice the NA in the COVID year. And then since that COVID year where there was no testing that was counted, our scores have gone up, gone down, gone all around, but generally speaking, they're up. So you can see on there that we've got a rating that's different. I probably shouldn't have shown that rating, but that's okay. So here we are. Here we are. That's good. Here we are.
Keep going.
It's a very small chart. So
what you saw
let's
there.
keep moving. Nothing to see
Nothing
here.
to
So
see here.
for those that are watching along at home, we're looking at a chart now that is your 2-year comparative data. So it's looking at the last 2 years before this year's. So Kansasville leads the way with us in a close second. Now these are again sort of the around us area schools here. So good solid scores. We have a strong area. So again, when we compare, it's more important to us how we compare to other feeders than it is to even, larger districts around us.
What's our enrollment at Kansasville?
Their enrollment's about 85 to 90, I think it is. Kids,
That's
So-
small.
very small.
That's
So
really
like,
small.
So North Cape is about 250, maybe 280.
Yeah.
And then
What's drought?
Drought is about 100,
150,
105.
something like that.
Yep. But they're not on our list here. So
This is, yeah.
this is our,
So it's the feeder school, right?
this is the feeder school list, kind of. North Cape is not a feeder for UGHS. North Cape is a
Do they
feeder
go to Waterford?
for Waterford, yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's touching our boundaries, so it would make sense. When you look at like-sized CISA 2 schools, these are all the schools that are, when you do a search of like 350 to 500 students, and you look at a K-8 sized school, this is how we fare, which is the best out of those on the list, which is a good place to be,
Absolutely.
with 81.5. This was again last year's data.
Where's Riverview?
Twin Lakes.
There you go. Twin Lakes south of Burlington. That's good, yeah.
Salem.
This is our breakdown of individual categories, so this kind of gives you the breakdown of, hey, we perform higher than the 79% of other K-8s. We perform higher than 64% in growth. Now, again, this is when you look at a year's time and you say, does a kid make, 1 year's gains, if not a little more than that? It's important to watch that. Target group outcomes, this is saying that we perform with the kids that we identify as our bottom quartile kids. we perform better than 92% of everybody else around us with those kids, with that targeted audience. So when Dana and her crew of interventionists, vigilante interventionists,
Yes.
when they get their hands on kids and they can work with them, they get results.
That's awesome.
So that's good news. And then on track to graduate, we perform better than 94%. So in other words, when you look at our absenteeism, and then they look at the 8th grade math test and the 3rd grade ELA test as indicators for this on track to graduate. This is sort of like the old 3rd grade reading test you used to hear about that you had to pass, and the 8th grade math test that you had to pass. They still are calculated into, and then attendance is important. And then chronic absenteeism is a little different because it deals with truancies, but we don't have a ton of that going on. We're really much higher than schools around us. So again, what's our priority? We are working on these things. We are always looking to get better. We are trying to have our staff work with the data that we have through our local assessments. So we give fast bridge assessments. Kids take those. Several of you have talked about IXL. IXL is a tool that we invest in because that can help extend kids as well electronically through use of computer tools. We're looking at through universal design, trying to help teachers have more inclusive lessons, meaning all the levels of kids in their classroom are covered. So they're differentiating the instruction, so it's not just taught to the whole group, but really to those smaller groups that have needs, which is nice. We're trying to build that culture of care, respect, and engagement for our kids, where we're keeping all the kids, moving in the correct direction. And we're trying to provide our best PD for our staff. We talked in curriculum, we talked in the curriculum meeting earlier about some of the PD that is required for when you're piloting something. And it's important to us there too. So we'll talk about that in our next section of the meeting here when we talk about piloting for curriculum. So that's kind of where we sit with this. Again, our school is doing well. It's important as we get this information out, we will be having a press release next week. Hopefully the papers will catch something here locally about the movement in our building. We'll also know more about the local surrounding districts, and so I will certainly provide that update to you all.
Will we know before the media does?
I can let you know before I release something out in the morning on, probably more of a simultaneous, but yeah.
Good.
Yeah, for sure. And so I think it's important that, people are informed and they understand what this means in the big scheme of things. And I want to make sure we're very clear, the work we're doing with all of this is made possible by our teachers, by the good people in classrooms that are working their tail off to try to keep things steady and moving forward and positive for kids. So I want to thank our aides, our parents, our teachers, everybody here who's affecting kids, because I just get to report on it. I get to say this is great news or this is change and improvement. And we get to, obviously have that moment of high five when we're trying to put systems in place, but it wouldn't happen without teachers. So, all right.
My grandson really likes the IXL. He's already done
Yeah.
over 250 some questions.
People
Hey.
that love
Oh,
IXL.
yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Wow.
We're
I'm gonna
IXL
tell
fans here,
all the
apparently.
kids about that
Like,
tomorrow, because they
uniquely
love
here.
it too.
That's
Yeah.
right, yeah,
So
all the
by
middle
time they get to
schoolers
middle
love it,
school
yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah, and he's only in kindergarten, and
And that's
I
really
like it.
interesting, because
I
it's the
like it.
first year that we brought it to the younger grades, and the thing is, it provides a lot of that good practice and
and
stuff.
he's
so
doing math at
perfect.
kindergarten, and I'm like, all right, that's my grandson, because I'm the math person, the reading and the writing is my wife, so.
Is this what you wanted me to pull
Yeah,
up?
I'm just gonna go through a couple.
So on to our
slides.
next, which is really giving an update to our board about just the progress of our math pilot. Dana's been working really closely. We'll talk about the math piece, but then also just, we can make mention, social studies is being implemented right now too. So our processes are in full swing for either selecting or implementing curriculum changes. So Dana, go ahead and take it away.
You did it quick. Okay, just the steps that we went through. We started out by last year taking a look. We met once a month in our small groups and on our PD days in those professional learning communities or PLCs. We mapped out all of our subjects, but math in particular, in preparation for this year. we kind of looked at our data, where we're scoring, which grades, in what areas, and what we need to maybe boost up a little bit, or we're doing great on. Then we developed a rubric, because it's time for us to look at our materials. Our middle school program that we've done well with, they're not making it anymore, so we have to buy something anyway. And we also knew that we just wanted to take a look at a few different programs. We looked through possible samples. Oops. I know it's a weird order. So what we'll do now, teachers are gonna, we've selected 4 pilots, and the teachers have kind of self-selected, maybe with little nudging at times, into which pilot they were going to do. So they're gonna get some training in those. They're gonna match the materials to their content, so we don't want teachers to all of a sudden teach something that's not part of their scope and sequence. So let's say whatever's coming up next, you know, like Mike had given, if it's a geometry unit, then they'll pick that from the pilot curriculum and kind of plot that.
Dina, how did they get the training?
So it's different. One of the programs is gonna have us, they're gonna stay for 2 hours and do it after school one day.
But is it like online?
Yep.
Or- Okay.
A lot, like a webinar, like she'll be
Oh,
talking
okay.
to us online. Another one is asynchronous, where they just watch videos that, from a webinar, so, yep. Students are gonna get their materials, and then we're gonna kind of meet monthly to review our results.
So there, we do plan on sending a letter home to all the families in our K-8 system, because every grade level will have some sort of impact. Because you may be wondering why a different set of worksheets are coming home than you've ever seen before, or the kids are talking about this new math thing they're doing in their class. And we want parents to feel like they know that that's going on and that's okay, and it's endorsed by us. We're purposely doing that. And we also want your feedback. If you're experiencing something you think is cool, let Mrs. Marty know. If you're not, you know, if you're not so fond on something, let her know, because this is our chance to kind of kick the tires on some of these approaches.
Yep. Okay, so our first pilot, we're gonna start in a couple weeks here. We've got, every math teacher is represented somewhere on here. We've got Math and You, which is kinda similar to a program we're using now, it's just the updated version. But we are only using that 6, 7, 8. They're wanting to see about using it all the way through. They were kind of excited about that one. And then Reveal Math is another one that they use at several area schools around us. And then we'll have a second rollout January till March. 2 different sets, 2 different, same teachers, different sets of material. So they do have some work cut out for them, but we'll be fine. Oop, no, go back. And so that's just kind of, and we'll give you updates along the way. There we go.
And then, once they have their pilot again, the rubric here is really
I
how,
know it didn't come out for me.
how they're evaluating their content. I can't find it on there.
Bad link.
There's a rubric, bad link, there we go. That has the teachers rating it based on.
We
a
sat
number of
together
variables.
and kind of brainstormed what the things we want out of the materials, so that we know when we go to, you know, look at them later, so.
Okay.
That's it.
So we wanted you to have this information, so that way if someone says to you, hey, they're doing this math thing, what are they doing? You have a clue. The other piece of it is, direct them to Dana or myself. None of this is secret. You wanna log into these resources, you wanna come flip through a book we have, feel free. This process is totally open, and we want your input. Again, this age of transparency when it comes to curriculum and selection of curriculum is important. But we're also letting our professionals who are teachers, who are in the classroom, lead that work, because they know how it all lines up in the classroom for them. So that's really where we're at with the math pilot, and just wanted to make you aware of it.
Okay.
So that's what we had on the agenda for
Okay.
tonight's learning.
Learning.
Well, that concludes our topics and discussion, unless there's any more discussion.
Any questions
Are
or
we
discussion?
allowed to, you said you're gonna gather the teachers to have a discussion. Is somebody from the curriculum or Audrey, can we attend that, or is that more?
Possibly, I mean, I don't see why not.
Mhm.
They can just talk, give you an update and
Okay.
see what they're talking about and stuff, yeah.
See
I
how
can
they
let you know
feel.
when we're doing that.
Or
For
even,
the math.
or even
Yeah.
at the end, like at our next curriculum meeting,
Yeah.
well, which we have in February.
Well, I could
Um,
ask teachers to come there.
You can ask for
Thank
some,
you.
or some input too,
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know.
like you did before, I like the way you had the input listed.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, even if it's a doc with their feedback, you can kind of read their real-time feedback, yeah, for sure.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Okay,
I'll second.
we have a motion and a second to adjourn, all in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned at 5:56. And that will take us right into our next meeting, which is going to be Mike's
move to
evaluation.
Special meeting, yeah.
Yep,
Motion to move to closed session.
I second.
we need to call this meeting to order.
You need to call it to order
Oh,
first.
yeah. Let's call it to order
Then we
first.
should
and
take
then
a
we'll-
roll call.
You don't want that on.
You don't want that on.
No. So we're
All
gonna be
right, I'm
going to
just
a
getting
special
ahead of
meeting now.
myself here.
We're getting ourselves